All right, guys. So if you're a nurse and you have decided to be an adventurous spirit and kind of travel or have a job that is more than just, say, hospital nursing, bedside nursing, you could always go into travel nursing and work in the hospitals at different locations, various locations. Could be rural, could be urban, depends on what you get. But if you want to be even more adventurous, here are just a few jobs that you can have as a nurse and still be a nurse and have an adventurous job. So we'll start things off in no particular order. You can work at amusement parks or theme parks, whatever you want to call them. At the moment, Disney has a job opening for a nurse. These jobs are probably highly competitive because, as everybody knows, Disney is the most magical place on earth, and everybody loves Disney, and it's probably really, really hard to get into Disney. But if you're a nurse and you want to work at Disney, you can, believe it or not. There are various little, like urgent cares almost, throughout the parks, and you could work at Disney as a nurse. Number two, probably the coolest one that I saw on the list, that I found during my research today, is NASA. If you want to work with astronauts or various other things, you could work with NASA as a nurse. I mean, who would have thought you'd be working with old astronauts as a nurse? I mean, other than like if they came into the hospital, but you could do it as a nurse. For race fans like myself, I sure do love some racing. You could work for NASCAR as a nurse. Typically at any racetrack, here in the United States, there is a medical team on site. It could just be a group of EMTs, or it could even be doctors and nurses. Typically at NASCAR events, they have a full range of staff. Those guys hit hard, whenever they wreck, and they need to be treated. And there is an infield care center, and these guys have to be staffed as well. So, doctors and nurses, you could get you a job with NASCAR. Running around the country while them boys run around the racetrack, It'd be a good time. I would love to be a NASCAR nurse. I don't think I could travel, though. I would rather just stay put. For those of you who really, really enjoy cruises, you could be a dialysis cruise nurse. Typically, when you think of somebody on dialysis, you think of somebody who's very sickly, probably older. But believe it or not, dialysis can affect anybody at any age. Your kidneys can affect anybody at any age. And some people who are on hemodialysis are younger, still want to get out and travel. And there are cruises specifically designed for people on dialysis. And they need to be staffed. So if you're a dialysis nurse, you could hop on a cruise liner. And I actually, while I was a dialysis nurse, I actually saw flyers for this when they were recruiting nurses for the dialysis cruises. So they do exist. They are out there. I don't know how often they hire, and I don't know how often they leave port. But if you want to do a cruise and you're a nurse, you want to work a little bit, be a dialysis cruise nurse. Might be worth it. And the last one I have on my list, of course, this is just a small list of the very adventurous jobs that you can have as a nurse, is if you've ever heard of Doctors Without Borders. These are the people that go to war zones and they help the humanitarian aid out there, in various countries that are, have casualties of war, prisoners of war, places like this, maybe in the Middle East, maybe in Eastern Europe, probably some in Africa. Doctors Without Borders, well, they need Nurses Without Borders as well. So if you want to be a nurse and you want to work in and help with humanitarian aid somewhere else, you can always join Doctors Without Borders and help those guys out too. Now, these are just a few jobs that you can have as a nurse and still get your adventurous, your adventurous check off the day. Maybe you want to. I, for one, don't want to. Maybe Disney would be cool, but that would probably be about the only one I would do out of this list. But maybe it's something for you. If you become a nurse and you say, hey, I'm not going to be able to travel anymore, or hey, I'm not going to be able to watch racing anymore, maybe you should take a second look and check out some of these jobs. Hope it helps. Thank you much.